Start. She said go. Go.
Okay. We will call this City of San Diego. I am the chair, Tim Hubbard, and I'll turn it over to Suzanne Seeger for some introductory comments.
Good afternoon, I'm Suzanne. Section 54953E, as amended by Assembly Bill 2249, which allows the city to use teleconferencing and to provide the public and the meetings will be open for in-person testimony. In lieu of in-person testimony, members of the public may submit their comments online via the development. This meeting is being live streamed via the City of San Diego's Public Hearings YouTube channel. Please note the buttons on your Zoom meeting bar that pop up when you move the mouse. In a discussion, please virtually raise your hand and Chair Hutter will call on you in the order entered. Please refrain from using the meeting chat in order to comply with the format. Thank you.
Present. Second Vice Chair Byers.
Present.
Board Member Cortez. Present. Board Member Coyle.
Here.
Board Member Next, we don't have any expected late arrivals or early departures. Agenda public comment is an opportunity for members of the public to address the board on issues within the jurisdiction of the HRB, not previously heard or on the agenda. Speakers will be provided 3 minutes each to address the board. So I did receive a number of speaker slips here in the room. We'll start with followed by Diane Kane and Charles Kaminsky.
On the difference between individually designated resources and contributors to historic districts. When districts have appeared before the HRB, there seems the district as a whole is the resource under consideration, not each individual property. Contributors within memorandum. Open quote. Historic district is geographically defined concentration of resources to the boundary of the historic district may or may not be significant in their own right, but much like pieces of a puzzle, these properties come together Thank you.
Thank you. Next will be Diane Kane.
I'm going to go after Chuck.
Hold the microphone. On. Hello, can you hear me? The HRB. I was taken aback and quite shocked by comments made at the July meeting and the previous meetings. It should be of great concern to the HRB that the city has not processed the designation since 2017. Altered. Local district designation matters. The public deserves and has the right to a reasonable and fair local process. Process for historic designation at the city of San Diego level. When local processes are ineffective, turning to the state for if a functioning process were in place, there would be no need for the public to bypass the local city for historic designation. This vetting process are simply untrue. OHP staff meticulously and stringently review all applications. Evaluation process. The notion that the Office of Historic Preservation at the state level operates as a mere rubber stamp is categorical. Thank you.
Thank you. Followed by Susan Dean.
From my experience as a retired senior planner for the HRB staff, we've been chatting a bit about this is a 1996 survey area of the Mid-City survey. It had not just identified 13 potential preservation options, incentive packages, and an educational outreach program. Now, this is what I inherited. Next slide. Ione Stiegler and I worked on that for 5 years. It went to the Historic Resources Board. We identified we studied, brought back, hit the next button, please. At that point, the 18 historic districts became 22 historic. Next slide, please. Yeah, there you go. So that's how many historic resources have been identified in that area. In limbo. If there is a problem with the process, it's that nobody knows how to treat these. On individual property owners and developers, and the best way to resolve this is to kickstart designation process. Registered designation process is perfectly sound. It is adopted by the state. If you are designated at the federal level, you are the identification of historic districts here locally. That's why people are bypassing this process.
Dean. David Swerve.
So I do need to hold this. And you wisely chose Chuck this preceding because that's what I need to say. I is a rubber stamp. And as Chuck aptly laid out, it is not. You here at the HRB the commission will not see a report like that. They only see ones that have gone through serious vetting by a very high.
David Swearens, followed by Bruce Coons.
Good afternoon. For community plan updates, southeastern San Diego, Old Town, and Greater Coastal Hill. I currently serve as the community plan. Unanimously adopted by our city council. The United Promise Work Program is represented by a 6-year schedule. We're now year 8 of that 6-year schedule and barely through year 3 of that program. In May, we worked in the D3 office, but we're going to put it on hold. And in fact, we work on having date for Tuesday and have scheduled a public meeting for this Monday. Please get this program back on track. Include community stakeholders as partners, active communication, collaboration, and transparency to only benefit this public process. Finally, many of us first responders see interim protective orders directed by council in October 2016. This is a bit from the record of that meeting, where the North American Great Golden Hill community plans were updated. That was doing this necessary to comply with stakeholder spirit law. And there was a meeting, remember, it was part of the motion, so that we showed them that. So we'll be looking for good faith. Things like that. Sort of interesting. Thanks.
Bruce Coons, followed by David Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board and city staff. Bruce Coons, Executive Director of Saber Heritage Organization. I'd like to take this opportunity to clarify some of the things that were said at the last HRB meeting. There is no functional district designation process in the city of San Diego. The last district was brought forward for the HRB in 2017. Many districts have been in process for decades. There's no fair and reasonable process. People have grown up, graduated from college, retired, and died waiting for their districts to be processed. There is no local process. No one willingly wants to bypass the local designation process, as local designation comes with benefits. Chief of those is the Mills Act. which no other venue offers the Mills Act component. All of the districts brought forward to the National Register and recommended for for designation by local staff after review and surveys and decades of work. The state process, as you've heard, they don't forward anything that they don't believe will pass the National Register. In fact, those of us who've done National Register applications find it extremely difficult because the state office has a reputation of never having a district or individual resource rejected by the keeper of the National Register, which is a further level of review even after the state. And so they are overly, in my opinion, in fact, they're pretty terrible. It's pretty awful to go through that process. One of the HRB's responsibilities as COG, you read it, is to encourage district and individual nominations to the state and national registers. That is a requirement and is expected of this HRB. We need your help to break this logjam. We need a functional local process. We need a reasonable process. We need a fair process. Thank you very much.
Thank you, board members. I'm David Moody. I'm a resident of Talmadge. So in 1997, the city hired Emily Donaldson to conduct the 1997 Historical Greater Mid-City San Diego Preservation Strategy. And that's the cover page there. Slide 2. That document was incorporated into the Mid-City Communities Plan, Appendix A, in 1998 when it was approved by council. Slide 3. That plan on page 31, map 4, identified a large part of Kensington and a small part of Talmadge as potential historic. Slide 4. It was for lack of money and not lack of historicity that the rest of Talmadge wasn't surveyed. For 25 years, these districts have sat unmoved with no program for designation by the city. For 25 years, the city offered no protection for the resources inside these potential districts. Even when we would identify buildings during the 45-year review process as contributors to these potential districts, that had no impact on the review the city offered in Kensington. So it became obvious to us that these districts were being eroded away year by year, building by building, resource by resource. And if we waited longer, there would be no district left. So when the auditor's report came out, I was here before you and I said, let districts be the lodestar for how you do historic preservation in San Diego. That is where you get meaningful preservation. I hope you restart the seized up district process. Thank you.
Usually have one speaker online, it's Barry Hager. Barry, can you hear me? And one more, Priscilla Berge. Okay. Let's start with Barry.
Yes, can you hear me? Okay. Good afternoon. This is Barry Hager speaking for Mission Hills Heritage. As the board knows, Mission Hills Heritage has successfully nominated 2 historic districts to the National Register in the last 3 years. Inspiration Heights in 2021 and Arnold and Choate's edition North Florence Heights this year. I'd like to address some misstatements made at recent HRB meetings as to why Mission Hills Heritage and other community groups have chosen to submit National Register nominations for historic districts. The reason Mission Hills Heritage and other groups have chosen to go the National Register route is that for all practical purposes, no pathway exists for local designation of historic districts. That pathway has been closed for years, and nothing indicates that that will change in the foreseeable future. The policies adopted by the city of San San Diego include the identification and designation of new historic districts. The Planning Department's work plan for historic districts, established in 2016 and still on the Planning Department's website, involves implementation of 13 potential historic districts identified in North Park and Golden Hill only. But that work plan has stalled out, with only 4 historic districts designated as of 2018. No districts have been adopted since then, and no other potential historic districts from other planning areas have even been added to the work plan. So, despite an adopted policy to designate new historic districts, the city has stopped doing so. I'm not going to speculate as to why that has happened, but it is an indisputable fact that the city has stopped designating local districts. Meanwhile, all 8 remaining districts in Golden Hill, North Park, along with all the potential districts surveyed in Uptown and other communities, are languishing. And surveys that would identify potential historic districts in other planning areas also sit unfinished. As a reminder, our amendments to the HRB policy and procedure to streamline the path from the National Register to the local register that would help break that logjam are still pending with the policy subcommittee. Mission Hills Heritage brought its nominations for the last 2 historic districts through the National Register because that is the only functioning route. The city would not have processed these districts for many years to come, if ever. City staff has even commended us for advancing the goals of historic preservation by bringing these nominations. So any assertion that we are trying to avoid local designation or skip a line is simply false. Thank you.
Ann Kilrain.
Yes, good afternoon. This is Ann Kilrain, and I testified before you at the July meeting for the Heart of Bankers Hill Historic District. And myself and my neighbors left that meeting feeling so unsettled and confused, quite honestly, because we were made to feel like we did something wrong. We followed a perfectly legitimate, professional, exquisitely researched, data-driven, multi-level process. This board, which was an important step in that process, and were accused of purposely trying to circumvent or go around. I'm not going to reiterate all the great points that we've heard, but that was not our intention at all. I object to the assertion and what felt to me to be very prejudicial to other board members. Quite honestly, the fact that 2 board members chose to vote against the district, not citing a single criterion that would be relevant, but only because you didn't like the process we followed, quite honestly, is behavior unbecoming a public board. And I'm disappointed to share that, but I really felt like I needed to let you know I'd have felt so much better if you had some objective criteria for voting against the Heart of Bankers Hill Historic District. Please consider your comments and how that makes the public feel when other things may come before you that you may not like, but please do your job and apply the criteria as is your remit. Thank you very much.
That will close non-agenda comment. Move on to administrative items. Board administrative matters and general information.
Thank you. Prior to today's meeting, the board members have been emailed the HRB criteria guidelines, promotion and findings for historic designation, comments submitted via the web form prior to this morning at 10 a.m. and correspondence from the Neighborhood Historic Preservation Coalition.
Thank you. Now we have general board member comment. These are items not on today's agenda. Do we have any board members who wish to make comment?
Well,
Thank you, Chair Hunter. I'm gonna take this opportunity to kind of express my feelings about historic districts. This is something that's just coming up right now, this is unplanned. But I want to share the concerns that I've heard from the public today about our work plan for historic districts. I've raised this, at different board meetings, I've raised the policy committee meetings. I don't know how to get this thing moving either. Some of us have served on the board since 2016 when a lot of these community plan updates were coming to us, and we remember the work plan that was supposed to come out of that was part of the deal for the approval of those updates. So I'm not quite sure what to do about it. I'm concerned about the potential equity implications of this in some of our underserved parts of San Diego. Having the opportunity to be listed in this program, one that was submitted to us in public comment, has been sitting for a while, and I'm sure that there's other concerns. I think that I live in a potential historic district over in La Jolla, and nothing has happened on that one either. And I've watched the community and the house has changed a little bit around me, some of them. So I just want to share that as my agenda public comment on what to do about it, or how to support the community in this, but I completely share your frustration and didn't want to let that opportunity to acknowledge the serious concerns that have been raised to go without comment. Thank you.
any other comment, David? Yeah, this is more of a question, for staff. As a result of the last meeting, I had several conversations with, people in the community, including the community that was part of the discussion, Bankers Hill. And it seems like there's a lot of either miscommunication or confusion about what the benefits and implications there are of historic districts, even from people who you would think are, somewhat, well versed on the topic. And so my question to you is, I understand that if a district is designated, then there may be some, like if any work is going to be done on a property, that it may have to come in for review by the HRB. But I'm just kind of wondering, beyond that, what are the other implications? Because a lot of the people that I was discussing this with were talking about, just their concern that they would lose, their ability to have some freedoms with their property and within the neighborhood. I tried to explain that I didn't feel that was the case, but I was wondering if the staff could weigh in on that just for my own. I think it would be good for all of us to understand that better.
Chair Hunter, would you like me to?
Please do.
And again, it's not an agenda item, so I'm going to try and keep this a little higher level. In that, as we mentioned in our staff reports that go for the Historical Resources Board on the National Register of Districts and in our courtesy notices to the property owners, our municipal code defines a designated historical resource as one not only listed on our local register, but determined eligible for listing or listed on the state or national register. So once a national registered district or individual resource is listed on the state or national register, it's regulated locally just as if it were listed on our register. So what that means in terms of modifications is essentially there's no building permit exemptions anymore. Any work that you do on a historic resource, including ones listed on the national register, have to receive approval and come to the historic staff for review. They're subject to site development. They're not consistent with U.S. Secretary of the Interior standards. All of those protections of local listing apply to national register listed districts. The only thing that doesn't apply that's different from a local listing is Mills Act eligibility, because the council policy requires the resource to be listed on the local register to be eligible for a Mills Act agreement. So that's the only difference in terms of how they are regulated and what incentives they receive.
Okay, so thank you for that. I think, so regarding, for example, a non-contributor for the company for review, what is it looked at how it could potentially or not contribute the modifications to the overall neighborhood? Is that, I know that's a difficult question, it's hard to put it in, to maybe clear terms, but.
Yeah, for districts that are not thematic, they are not process. So in your traditional geographic district, we have contributors and non-contributing resources. Again, both local and national, it's not any different under our code. Non-contributing resources have to come through for review as well. We are less concerned about the change to that structure and how it impacts that structure. Tear down non-contributing resource, but what we're concerned about is the impact of any new construction, whether it's an addition or modification or complete replacement of that non-contributing resource on the district as a whole.
And so in that particular case, if you're going to tear down non-contributor and build, would the board be looking at size and scale and whether or not, because that's one of the things that came up in the last discussion was there was some neighbors that were concerned about a structure that was being built and that I think it was a designated district and they said it was out of scale and it really doesn't fit in the neighborhood. So it was a review or that the HRB has ability to weigh in on.
Yes, so the review of projects impacting historic resources rests with city staff unless there is a site development permit required, in which case that is reviewed by the board. We can also bring projects forward to the design assistance subcommittee for them to review and opine on that. The code requires site development permit unless the project is consistent with U.S. Secretary of Interior standards, treatment of historic properties, which is what we are reviewing against. And then there are, other regulatory requirements at play as well, in regards to state housing law, ADU law, that sort of thing. They're also to apply.
I have other questions, but I'll take them.
Other comments, questions from board members? I would just encourage all those who have shown up today and participated in the process previously. I know we had some spirited discussion about the IDA report that came out last year from a lot of the same people saying that some of the reforms that were called for as part of that process and the overall reform effort that was being launched by the city was not necessary. We have a great program, that everything's working, and that, the part of the comprehensive reform effort that's underway, I think it would be helpful to have, and I know many of you are involved in that discussion and participating. And so, continuing to put that energy into that process and helping the city to figure out, and this board to figure out what are going to be procedures that are going to be effective for the long term. So that would be my suggestion. Any other board member comment? All right. We'll move on next to declarations of conflict of interest, expert communications, or failure to visit sites. Seeing and hearing that, we'll skip on past that and move on to requests for continuances or withdrawals. Suzanne? Do we have any requests?
Yes, there are several. First, staff would like to request that item 3 be returned to us. We were unaware of some work that is currently being done on site. We just want to work with the property owners to make sure that work is the standards, that we still continue to give a positive staff recommendation. And we also want the board to be able to evaluate the property in an appropriate condition.
So we're taking that off the agenda for today, item 3. We need a motion for that. Or do we need agreement from staff, from the applicant, or can we make that direction? From staff?
Well, Lindsay's thinking that through, I had concerns too, there was some window panes out, stucco wall, and like there's been some changes to stucco in the house, some timber existing, so I had some concerns about what was going on there.
I was fine with board member Coyle said I also about the state of the property boarded up windows. So I was going to ask for the consent agenda and discuss. Can staff please clarify whether they are continuous? Staff is requesting that the item be returned to staff for further review. So to withdraw the item and return it to staff.
Should I just go ahead and make that motion to keep this moving along? I will make the motion as presented by, Ms. Bastian, to return this to staff.
Sorry, it's staff's, excuse me, staff's request.
Right.
I second. Oh.
Motion and a second. Second by board member Farley, motion by board member Coyle, to return item 3 to staff at staff's request. Any board member questions, comments?
Can staff clarify that, the item noticed? Yes.
Do we have any comment from members of the public? Right. Then we will proceed. Any further board member comment? We'll go ahead with the motion. Start down there with you, board member Winter. Yes. Board member Coyle.
Aye.
Board member Farley.
Yes.
Board member Taylor.
Yes.
I vote yes. Vice Chair Byers, second Vice Chair Byers, sorry.
Yes.
Board member McCollum. Yes. Board member Cortez. Yes. Board member Woods.
Yes.
Board member Miller.
Yes.
All right. Motion carries. Do we also have a request for continuance as to item number 1 that's coming from the applicant, Mr. Wallace.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I would like to ask for a 30-day continuance on item 1. I was able to speak to Cheryl Bowden Brenna, who's the cultural resources head for SCG&E, and they're reviewing the historic nomination report and working on a support letter, which will be ready for the next hearing in September. And I think that will be important to have them review it, and they might even have a letter of support from the president of STG&E as well. So they're reviewing their records for his specific contributions, and I think that will be helpful. And that's why we asked for a 30-day continuance. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I'll make that motion to continue item number 1 to the next board meeting in September.
Sorry. Yeah, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any other public comment for today? On that item. Seeing no one in the crowd. No one online. All right. Any other board member comment? Okay, starting with the other one. Board member Miller.
Yes.
Board member Wood.
Yes.
Board member Cortez. Yes. Board member McCollum. Yes. Second Vice Chair Byers.
Yes.
Yes. Vice Chair Taylor.
Yes.
Board member Farley.
Yes.
Board member Coyle.
Aye.
Board member Winter.
Yes.
That motion carries as well. Next, we've got requests for items to be placed on the consent agenda. Staff has proposed items for inclusion on the consent portion of the agenda. Actions to designate a resource as historic require an affirmative vote of 6 board members. All other actions require an affirmative vote of the majority of board members present. Any board member may add or remove items from the consent portion of the agenda. And any removed items will be heard in accordance with their regular placement on the agenda, unless otherwise indicated by the chair. Following items are proposed by staff for the consent portion of the agenda. Item 2, the George and Maud Easton / Irving Gill House located at 3353 Second Avenue. And item 4, the Carl and Mary Kreisinger / Edward DePue House located at 1610 Santa Barbara Street. Any members of the public wishing to speak to items on the consent agenda may do so. Do we have any requests from board members to items from the consent agenda?
I've got a couple questions on item 4, so we could pull out.
I'm going to open up for public comment now. So items remaining on the consent agenda, it's just item 2. And members of the public who wish to be heard on the consent agenda. Anybody in the room? Okay. Anyone online? Richard and Patricia Hurdell have their hand raised. So can we promote them? Richard and Patricia, go ahead. Richard and Patricia Hurdell, can you hear us?
Yes, may I speak?
Yes, you may. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon to everybody. I want to express my thanks to the board for considering this Santa Barbara Street property. I will share with you, I feel this is a special house and property. Structurally, this house looks like it was built yesterday. The foundation looks brand new. And
I'm sorry to interrupt you. This is Chair Hunter. We are going to hear your item in greater detail in just a moment. It was off of the consent agenda. And so if you have comments as to item 4, I will certainly be back to speak to those and offer your thoughts on it. But at this point, we're going to hear those in just a minute. Is that okay? Okay. Anyone else on the public comment? Okay, we will close the comment for now on the consent agenda. The only item on the consent agenda is item 2. Do we have any board member comments? Dr. Woods, go ahead.
There's just something odd in the resolution. So it says historic designation, capital M, capital Z. That's
Thank you, we'll address that. It should be the name of the policy. Thank you.
my comment shows that I support the designation. Irrigated brick that was added, as well as the slabs and plates, the piece of slab along the sidewalk on the front. Thank you.
Any further comment on this agenda? All right. We have a motion as to item 2 being passed on the consent agenda.
I'll move forward the motion to support staff representation by item 2.
Thank you. Motion in a second.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Vice Chair Taylor, beat you to it.
Oh, you did. I'm just gonna keep quiet the rest of the meeting.
You wanted your seat. Oh, there. Okay, so we've got a motion in a second. Any further comments from the board? All right, we will vote. Start with you, board member Winters. Yes. Board member Foyle.
Aye.
Board member Farley.
Yes.
Vice Chair Taylor. Yeah. I vote yes. Second Vice Chair Myers.
Yes.
McCollum.
Yes.
Member Cortez? Yes. Board Member Wood?
Yes.
Board Member Miller?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Is there anyone here on behalf of item number 2? Property owner who wishes to be heard? If you want to say anything, raise your hand on the chat over Zoom program.
Hello.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm the property owner and I don't have any comment on this one.
Okay, well, congratulations. You won. All right, we will move on then off the consent agenda. Only got one item remaining on our agenda. It's item 4. So we will do that after we get to our normal hearing calendar. So we'll conclude some of the business first. First thing we're going to do is the minutes from our July meeting. Any members of the public wishing to speak to items on the approval of the minutes, may you do so. Members of the public attending in person must submit a speaker slip to the hearing secretary. And those attending remotely should indicate their desire to speak by raising their virtual hand. Do we have any public comment on the minutes? Hearing none. Do we have any board member comments or motion? Board member Woods, we're fine.
I would like to make one addition to my correction. So, under public comment, there's an omission. So the second speaker after Sean MacArthur was Diane. Noted in the minutes. She was just saying that Parks and Recreation Department needed to collaborate more with HRD. And
Can I just clarify, was that under non-adjustable?
yes. So she was right between Sean MacArthur and Barry Hager. And then on page 5, we have 4 weird spelling. It says Desi Gontier, and it's one training Desi Gontier. It's new. It's the new thing to do. Thank you all. Both here.
Okay, any other comments, questions, corrections? Or motion? With the corrections noted by Dr. Woods, I will move the July minutes. Second from Board Member Farley. Any further comments or questions from board? All right, we'll move on to the vote. Board Member Miller.
Yes.
Board Member Woods.
Yes.
Board Member Cortez.
Yes.
Board Member McCullough.
Yes.
Second Vice Chair Byers.
I'm abstaining because I wasn't here.
All right, I vote yes. Vice Chair Taylor.
Yes.
Board Member Farley.
Yes.
Board Member Boyle. Board Member Wood.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you all. Let's move on to staff reports. Ms. Hanako, anything today?
I don't have anything to add.
Ms. Seeger?
Nothing, but I'm gonna go right into the subcommittee. The next meeting of the policy subcommittee will be held on Monday, September 9th at 3 p.m. in the large conference room on the floor of the city administration building. More information regarding the archaeological and tribal cultural resource subcommittee can be found on the development services website. The next meeting of the design system subcommittee is scheduled to be held on Wednesday, September 4th at 4 p.m. in the large conference room under the floor.
Thank you. All right, that concludes our administrative items. We'll move on to our discussion items, and we've only got one today, so it'll be item number 4. Mr. Lynn? Yes. Okay, I have the presentation pulled up. Hello, everyone, members of the public, historical resources board members, and consultants. My name is Alvin, and I'm the associate planner for this item number 4, for the Carl and Mary Kreisinger at Red the Pier. The property located at 1610 Santa Barbara Street is being brought before the HRB in conjunction with the owner's desire to have the site designated as a historical resource. Historical resource research report was prepared, which concludes that the resource is significant under HRB criterion C. Staff agree with the report's findings and also asserts that it is significant under HRB criterion. The property, the site contains 2 parcels as the notified 2 assessors parcel numbers. And the resource is located in the Peninsula community at a corner lot. And consists of a 2-story single-family residence and a detached 3-car garage. The second parcel is located northeast of the subject parcel and contains a detached 1-car garage and a van. The single-family residence was designed by master architect Edward Dubuque in 1934. Structure features hip and flat roofs, Spanish tile roof cover, cantilevering front balcony with wood railings, portals, a recessed arch entry with a wood door, and a front recessed patio with exposed wood beams showing the ground floor and stucco clad. Other features include a stucco-clad chimney with divided-light casement windows, fixed windows, front picture window with decorative window surrounds, and an oriel window bay on the side elevation. Since its construction in 1934, the property has been modified with a 1938 front recessed patio enclosure, a circa 1937 to 1958 second-story cantilevering balcony enclosure, a 1958 to 1959 northwest elevation laundry room addition, and a bathroom addition on the second floor. All of these modifications aforementioned have been restored and rehabilitated in 2022 with a building permit, which was approved by the city's heritage preservation staff. It was also determined to be consistent with the Secretary of Interior standards. Other related alterations happened in 1961 as part of a subdivision, including block walls, modifications to hardscape. Last but not least, regarding alterations, in 2023, the owners did install a radio antenna at the rear elevation. This construction work is exempt from building permit requirements for the city's municipal code, and staff did not review that antenna for consistency with the Secretary of Interior. There are certain features excluded from this designation, including the aforementioned antenna built in 2023. Also shown here are the 1-car garage that is detached and built in 1936, as well as a badminton court and this 1934 to 1937 fireplace. Because all these features are not conclusively dated to the 1934 period of significance, and they do not contribute to the significance under HRB criterion C and HRB criterion D. Staff will not recommend designation under HRB criterion A or HRB criterion D. Staff recommends designation under HRB criterion C for the established revival style, as the building continues to convey the distinctive characteristics of that style and retains integrity. Staff recommends the designation of the property under HRB criterion D as representative of the notable work of master architect Dubuque, featuring details such as pitch roof design, exposed rafters, elaborated picture window, divided-light casement window sets, accentuated front entry, and an asymmetrical front facade that is exhibited in other buildings designated under HRB criterion D for master architect Dubuque. Additionally, the property features custom features that further enhance the building's significance, which has the cantilevering balcony and the recessed front patio. Therefore, staff recommends designation for HRB criterion D. And this concludes staff report. Thank you so much. Thank you. Do we have any public comment? I did not receive any speaker slips, but I know that this was pulled from consent. So I know looks like we've got John Hyde from Urbana, and then probably also the property owner spoke to us earlier. So let's promote John first. John?
Thank you. I'll show a presentation. Okay, here is Urbana's presentation on the Carl and Mary Kreisinger / Edward H. Depew house at 1610 Santa Barbara Street. The property was constructed in 1934 by Edward H. Depew. It embodies the distinctive characteristics of the Spanish eclectic style. It has restored massing at the front elevation and the second floor at the rear, with original and rehabilitated fenestration facing Santa Barbara Street and across the property. It has a clearly defined 1958 rear laundry room addition. It's an excellent example of Depew's notable work as a master architect in the San Diego area, utilizing the Spanish eclectic style, which he was known for. Urbana agrees with staff's recommendation that the property retains sufficient integrity to convey its significance under both criteria C and D. As Alvin mentioned, the property shares distinctive characteristics with other buildings designed and designated by Edward Depew. Here's a few of them here. Between 2021 and 2022, as stated earlier, the property owner underwent significant rehabilitation efforts to restore the property to its original vision when it was constructed by Depew. And here's a comparison photo from 1937, right before additions were made by the Kreisinger family, and to present day, 2024. Here are views from 2020 and present views from 2024, demonstrating the changes in the property after the property owner underwent the rehabilitations across the property. You can see the changes in massing and window conditions and landscaping. Here are more kind of comparative views showing how the property has evolved since 2020. Here are current elevations of the property. Urbana agrees with staff's finding that the rear garage and the landscaping elements do not contribute to the significance of the property, and yeah, we concur with those findings. So with that, Urbana will support any motion to designate 1610 Santa Barbara Street, the Carl and Mary Kreisinger / Edward Depew house under both criteria C and D. It's an excellent example of the Spanish eclectic style, and it's a notable work of master architect Edward H. Depew that adequately retains its integrity to the original 1934 design. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Richard Hurdell and Richard and Patricia. Richard, I know you stepped up to speak earlier, and I unfortunately had to cut you off and bring you back now, but now's the time if you wanted to speak about the property. If John spoke on your behalf, but if you have anything to add, please raise your hand.
Thank you. I just wanted to share that this house retains its integrity. both inside and out. The inside of the house is very much like it was originally built. And structurally, after working on the house and working through the different additions that had been put onto it that we had to remove, we found the house structurally very much intact. And it just seems to me that this house, from a perspective of a neighborhood, fits very well within the city of San Diego and is worth preserving. And that has been my wife's and my intent in pursuing this designation all along. We feel like we're the shepherds, and it should be preserved into future generations for the city. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you. Any further public comment? All right, we will go ahead and close the public comment and move to board member comment. I'm gonna turn to you, Ms. Coyle.
Thank you. I don't think this should take long at all. I do support the designation of this, and I commend the owner and staff for the work that has been done. My questions are more to the somewhat complicated landscape. Many of my questions were answered with the staff and the homeowners rep presentation to us. So for excluding the shed and the fireplace, it was about the inconclusive nature of the dating to 1934. Is that right?
Yes, Alderman Coyle. The shed was built in 1936 per the assessor's building records. That's the documentary evidence we have, so it doesn't date to 1934. The fireplace was built sometime before 1937, but there's no sufficient evidence that it was built. The building was constructed. Also, there's
Elements on the second parcel.
no. The only thing on the second parcel is shed fireplaces with the first. This is on the 2600 parcel in the front patio.
The red walkways, were they original? And I don't know if they were really mentioned in the report. There's a couple of them on different corners. And I don't know if the reports really called those out.
The report made mention to a revenue walkway that was put in 2021 for current ownership. There's also the site plan with the site plan attachment in the report that also shows it as non-contributing.
I thought I saw the one on the corner. What was I playing there? Saying they're both non-original.
The stairs, right, at the corner of the street, that was put in 1961, part of the subdivision effort. Yes.
Thank you for that additional detail. On the trees, there was some discussion. The application. Homeowners rep said that they're okay without including the trees and the vine, I believe. I just feel more comfortable. I care about the elements. It wasn't 100% clear to me in the report that they were really that's adequately for me. So the palms that are really mature on frontage, I thought even are those kind of city right of way since they're long? Trees are the palms.
I think we're going to photos.
The palms are likely within the way I believe they are, so that it wouldn't be a part.
That's what I assume. I always want to having that level of detail helps me. If this project, this house is designated comes back from LSAC, I would want for some attention to be given to that walk wall. that's along the frontage there and along the side, it's partly covered by the vegetation. Would that be considered? But I think this does answer that question.
Okay, other board members?
And I motion, staff's recommendation for designation.
You may, and, Dr. Woods, we will come back to you for further comment after we consider the motion, or as we consider the motion. We have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion from Board Member McCall, a second from Board Member Winter. And we'll have a comment. Dr. Woods, you want to ask?
I wanted to ask a question about the adjacent parcel. And realize it's not included. I think my understanding was the subdivision occurred in. And if the period of significance is not 4, why wouldn't it include both parcels in Stafford?
Yes, regarding why the northeastern parcel, 2500 parcel is being excluded. It's true that originally the entire site, inclusive of both of the two parcels, were the lot that the building was constructed on. This proposal, this nomination is in for criteria C and D. So we analyzed it, considering the parcel, just the land itself, how much it contributes, or does it have any significance for the Spanish colonial revival style, or as a notable work of the view that there was not enough significance to suggest that, even though it's land itself is technically part of the original lot.
To clarify, there's no contributing resources on the second lot. So staff is taking the approach that if there's nothing there to contribute to the designation. It's such an important wonder why it's an original extent. Significant somehow.
Other comments, questions? All right, then let's call the vote. Board Member Miller?
Yes.
Board Member Woods?
Yes.
Board Member Cortez?
Yes.
Board Member McCall? Yeah. Or, second Vice Chair Byers?
Yeah.
I vote yes. Vice Chair Taylor? Board Member Farley?
Yeah.
Board Member Coyle?
Aye.
Board Member Winter?
Yes.
All right. Do we have anyone on behalf of the applicant or the owner, want to speak to anything else? Congratulations. All right.
Hello, Wendy Tinsley Becker with Urbana. Just wanted to say thank you on behalf of the owners and John and staff. I just want to point out this was a pandemic project. Urbana was initially asked to evaluate this property and we asserted that it did not retain integrity. And the Herdells took on a pretty monumental task considering what was happening at that point in the city with projects and schedules and timelines and availability of workers and materials. And they worked with the city to, properly and appropriately rehabilitate the building. I know that they very much love this property. They intend to keep the other parcel, vacant as they do view it as, important element of their home. So I just want to put that out there. We appreciate the vote. We appreciate the designation. And I just want to relay to you that, the owners are excellent stewards of this property and intend to keep it that way. So thank you very much.
Great, thank you. All right, I think that concludes our business for today. Appreciate everyone. We will see you back in September. Thank you.